Well, inflation rose to 3.4% in December, according to the latest figures from Stats Canada. CTV's Colton Prale has more details on this. Thanks for joining us, Colton. So what do the numbers tell us?
Jamie, this was an expected raise. It's not the direction that most people will want to see it going in, but it was something that most experts did predict we were going to see. 3.4% is up compared to the 3.1% we saw in November and in October, but it's still a drop from 3.8 in September. That said, this is largely explainable, and if you look at the core measures underneath, it's mostly moving in the right direction. We are still trending towards that 2.5% by the latter or second half of this year, by the late stages of spring, and certainly by summer is what the Bank of Canada is predicting. This 3.4% was driven in large part by a couple of things. And let's focus first on gasoline prices, because this has been a persistent issue when it comes to keeping inflation up. It's the reason in November we didn't drop into that 3% threshold that the Bank of Canada likes to keep things in. It's the reason we're seeing an increase again this month. Prices in gasoline dropped for the fourth month in a row, but they didn't drop to the same extent that they did in December of 2022. They fell off a cliff at that point, and so as a result, you're seeing this overall 3.4% number stay a little higher because of this separation in those two aspects. The other thing that was really driving headline inflation was airfare, was air travel. We saw that increase 31% year over year for the month of December. Now, to put that in context, in November, it only increased 1%. A huge difference. And anyone who traveled this year or this past year can tell you that those costs were much steeper. And of course, part of the reason for that, we had that travel chaos back in December of 2022. So those two things combined, along with rent prices, which were also high, about 7.7% for rent, driven mostly in Ontario, BC, and Quebec, all three of those combined to keep this CPI at 3.4%, a little higher than what it wants. But the Bank of Canada is going to look at this number. It's going to look at the core number dropping when you exclude gasoline and say, you know what, we're probably still on track.
That's CTV's Colton Prale. We appreciate the update. Thank you.
Anytime.